welcome to this week's episode of DannieBSpeaks, the podcast, episode 18. I would like to, as always, thank you all for tuning in and listening to the mess that's going on this week as usual. I don't think this is going to be as long of a show as last week was. It was just so much going on last week. It doesn't seem like, as of me recording this, as much, at least that I want to talk about, has been going on so far. So this should be a quicker episode. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So in a story that I brought you last week about the gentrifiers around Howard University in Washington, D.C., and how they basically want the campus that has been there since the 1800s to be moved so that they can walk their precious little doggies. However, let me just say this part. The president of Howard University has basically banned them from being not necessarily on the university, but there with their dogs and walking them in the yard, using that as a dog park. And I forgot, now I've been to Howard University a couple times, and I forgot that there is a park like right across the street that's more in their neighborhood than what they would consider Howard University to be in their neighborhood. So there's that. So walk your dogs over there. I can't remember the name of the park, but there is a park right next to pretty much where they live, where I would think that, especially if you're coming from a certain direction, you would have to cross that park. So I don't understand what your motivation was of going over to Howard University and walking your dogs and letting them shit all over the place in the yard. And what a lot of people don't realize who don't understand the HBCU culture, but the yard, because that's where they were at. The yard is like the big, it's like, say, Ohio State, the Oval, the big space pretty much in the middle of the campus that has its own name, it has its own area. Pretty much every HBCU on the campus will have a place called the yard, and it's sacred. It is sacred territory, and you don't walk your dogs over there to shit and think that you own it now just because that you live in the neighborhood. But we don't expect you to know that. You don't just come up here and your suggestion being to move a whole campus because you have moved in there. But anyway, I digress. It just shows the privilege, the ultimate privilege, that you would even have the nerve to utter those words. And that's what I think really pissed most people off. Yes, it was disrespectful for you to have your dogs over there and just doing whatever and running free on a HBCU, but a historical landmark, the yard of a historical landmark. Forget the college, it's a historical landmark. So that just shows that you just don't care and you don't understand the significance of what an HBCU is and what the yard is. So therefore, you all are not allowed there, and it's letting you know that this is their place and you're not going to come over there and disrespect it just because of the color of your skin. How about that? Queen Latifah signs movie deal with Lifetime. So Queen Latifah will be producing movies on the Lifetime network, and the first two that she will be doing are biopics on the Clark sisters, the legendary gospel family, the Clark sisters, and the legendary hip-hop female duo Salt and Pepper. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing both of those. So shout out to Queen Latifah, always making boss moves. That's what a boss does right there. And let's also send our prayers to legendary director John Singleton, who suffered a stroke last week and is right now in a coma in ICU. So we definitely are praying for him for a safe and speedy recovery. Hope he pulls out of this and is as strong as before. So Whitney Houston's alleged ex-lesbian lover is writing a tell-all book on their relationship. Okay, next. I mean, these people kill me coming out with stuff after the person has died and after they've been gone for quite a few years. I mean, I get it. They wouldn't do this stuff while the person was alive. If Whitney was, oh well. At the end of the day, Bobby still won. If you're bitter about her getting with Bobby Brown over you, I don't know if this is Robin or whoever was, I don't know, she had more than one alleged lesbian lover. I don't know, but just let it go, sis. Let it go. Kenya Moore is in negotiation right now to rejoin the cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Of course, she wasn't on this past season. She made an appearance, but she wasn't a full-time cast member with the Peach because she had gotten married and her husband didn't really want to be a part of the show and didn't want to give up his privacy when it came to their relationship and the marriage and her being pregnant and having their daughter. But she's a negotiation to become a friend of the show. So she still won't be a full-time member of the show. So most likely her husband won't be on there. I don't know if her child will be on there, but she's basically being asked to come back to antagonize Nene. And I'm here for it, And speaking of Real Housewives of Atlanta and Nene, she has signed a huge deal on her contract to come back next season. I haven't watched Real Housewives of Atlanta in like the last 2 seasons, and from what I hear, just from the updates and just from what I hear from other people, I don't seem to be missing much. I tried to watch a little bit of the reunion, but I was so lost. It was just way too much going on, so I just watched videos of people discussing it or whatever, and I see that I didn't miss much. But for all you Real Housewives of Atlanta fans, there you go. The Asundario or Asundero, whatever their last names are, they're the Nigerian brothers who were the ones that were allegedly paid to attack Jussie and, that whole thing that went on with him, whatever. So apparently they appear to be suing the attorneys of Jussie Smollett because they cannot find work in the entertainment industry. Okay, but how about this? May I suggest becoming a Chicago police officer because they're obviously on your side and, are so disgusted by this whole thing. I'm sure they'll take pity on you. So why don't you go ahead and do that? But speaking of Jussie, so it's his future on Empire is still kind of up in the air. No one knows if he's going to come back or whatever. The way that the season finale ended, it's almost like they don't know what is going to happen with him. It kind of left his presence on the show up in the air, I should say. So 50 Cent and her petty ass said that if Empire lets Jussie go, then he'll have him on Power. He'll have a role for him on Power, so he'll have a job. I can totally see that happening just because of this made up one-sided beef that 50 has had with Empire this whole time that Empire has been on between his show Power and Empire. So I can see him putting him on the show if Jussie does end up getting fired from Empire, but we don't know yet. We don't know what's going to happen. So there's that. Okay, so can we talk about how I fucked up on keto already? And excuse my language, but I did. And I've never been good at following a diet. I've just always been good at just having something in my head, in my mind of what I wanted to do and just doing it. In the past, when I have been able to lose weight, unless it was just my illness that was making me lose weight, but if it was something that I was trying to do, it was always just me being active and me having a high protein, low carb diet. And that's pretty much what keto is to an extent. That was also my entire diet after my surgery when I got put on a regular food diet, when I didn't have to eat soft foods and liquids only, stuff like that anymore. So I know that I just need to just go back and I just need to do the high protein, low carb diet, because here was my thing. This is where I messed up on keto. And I'm still going to follow keto to an extent. It's going to be my foundation. It's going to be my diagram for what I want to do, like a lot of the foods and stuff like that, because it does tell you how to, or I should say it teaches you how to eat and find foods that are low carb. High protein, I love, a lot of high protein foods. Like I could eat eggs all the time, bacon, chicken, turkey, beef, so I have no problem. I can drink a protein shake and be good for hours. So, and another thing about keto that I really enjoy is anybody who knows me knows I love cheese. Cheese has always been my thing. I was one of those kids that when I got hungry for a little snack back in the day, I would go in the refrigerator and just get a slice of cheese and I would be good. Just get one slice of cheese and just pop that bad boy in my mouth piece by piece and I would be good. So I am going to follow keto to an extent, but the thing about keto that really threw me off was, the first thing was I didn't limit myself on the carbs. And I don't eat a lot of carb heavy foods. Now I do have a weakness for pasta and rice. I don't really eat bread unless it's like on a sandwich. And right now I can only eat half of a sandwich. So that wouldn't hurt me. Even on keto, if I was to have half of a sandwich, I could do that. Just one slice of bread, I'm cool. But when it came to the carbs in the pasta and rice, I went to the Japanese steakhouse and I just, went crazy with the rice over days. And even though I didn't eat it all in one day or one setting, that messed me up. And then the other thing about keto is the sugar. The sugar intake is really scary because I don't eat a lot of sweets. I can't really tolerate sweet stuff and sugary type things, but I do have to have sugar in certain things, namely coffee in the morning. That's really it. If I can just get away with just having coffee in the morning and it's just a little bit of sugar that I put in there. But I messed up because it was cold one day and I just kept going back and having cup after cup of hot drinks. And so I had 2 cups of coffee, and then later on that day I had a cup of hot tea, and then I had some hot cocoa later on that evening while I was up writing and editing the podcast. So those were 4 drinks full of sugar. And I was just like, girl, now that's not something that I do on a normal basis. And even if I did stick to keto, it would be okay. Because I could get back on track the same I do any other time when, I mess up. I don't want to limit myself. I don't want to follow a specific diet because to me, and maybe I'm just not disciplined enough, but when I have to follow a certain diet, I always end up messing up because even though I've learned to have structure and guide and all that stuff, it just seems like diets just mess me up completely. Now, sugar substitutes are cool. All of them aren't good for you. The one that I found that I can really enjoy and tolerate is monk fruit sweetener, just the granulated sugar one. But it's so expensive. Now, I did look out and got a couple boxes of the packets, which I think has like 30 packets in it each. I went to Meijer a couple weeks ago and they were on sale for $2.99. Now, that's not bad. It's still more, of course, than just buying the 4-pound bag of sugar that you would get in the grocery store. And if you get the generic brand, which sugar is sugar to me, if you just get that sugar, it can be like $1 something, $2 something at the most for 4 pounds. This is 30 packets for $2.99, and that was on sale. Then I looked online and in the grocery store for monk fruit sweetener because it's the only one that I found that I really could tolerate, where you don't have to put a lot in because it is sweet. It's sweet enough, but it's just so expensive. And I tried to justify buying it because I was like, well, I don't have to use as much and I'm only going to use it for this, and I don't know. So I'm just going to have to get my mind together with that. I'm going to have to talk to other people who do keto or where they get their monk fruit sweetener or other sweeteners, because you're allowed to have sweet stuff. It's just the type of sweetener that you use. And I know I'm not going to use a lot of it because I don't do sweets like that. I'll be all right. But it's just like, it was just too much of a mind game to me. And I don't know, maybe I'll try it again, or maybe I'll just try my way of doing it, which isn't quote unquote the keto diet, but it's on that same realm. So we'll see, but keep sending me ideas, things that you may have found that have helped work for you when it comes to losing weight, maintaining weight, eating healthier. I want to know what y'all think about stuff like vegetable noodles. Like, now I like zoodles. I like zucchini noodles. I can do that. I like them more like as a stir fry. I tried it once like as a spaghetti, quote unquote. It just didn't do nothing for me. So maybe I had to try it again. Maybe I had to season the noodles a different way. I don't know, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm just still trying to figure it out because my goal is still to lose this next 30 pounds within hopefully the next year. And that sounds crazy for me because I was losing so much, like 30 pounds was nothing. I could lose that back a year or so ago. I could lose 30 pounds in 2 months. Now I'm like, okay, but I got to get at least by my 40th birthday, which is in December, I have to be about 15, 20 pounds lighter than what I am now. And then when I do that, I know that I will be able to get to my goal weight. And who knows, maybe I'll be at my goal weight before my birthday. Who knows? Or at my 40th birthday. Let's just keep exchanging ideas, and we can do like maybe even a friendly competition or something like that. Just, it's getting warmer. We're going to be outside more and we're going to be doing more instead of just being closed up in the house. And, we'll be able to get out and do more. So I'm definitely looking forward to that because I am an outdoor person. I do like to do more physical things outside than being cooped up in a house or in a gym, unless I'm playing basketball. But so anyway, I'm ready to hit my goal and get there and stay there and continue, get everything done. I'm so motivated. I've been motivated, these last couple years, almost 2 years, even more so now that I'm excited to be doing this on my own without the assistance of my surgery. And yes, it is still helpful and it's a tool and a guide that I still have, but now it's all up to me. So I'm excited to be able to do this and have a great head start. So everyone out there that's trying to be healthy, maintain being healthy, let's do this. So Joe Giudice, or Giudice, however you want to say it, from Real Housewives of New Jersey, he was trying to fight deportation. Now, they were trying to deport him back to Italy after he served his jail term. I think he was in there for 3 or 4 years. And he served, of course, after his wife, the Real Housewives of New Jersey star, Teresa Giudice, whatever, served her. I think she was in there for like just under a year, maybe, or a year. But anyway, so Joe finished out his sentence, did his time, and at first they didn't know if he should be deported back to Italy. It was up in the air. And then I guess they said, okay, we're going to deport you. You're going back to Italy. So he tried to fight it and lost. So I hope there's still some things that he can do, but right now he is somewhere waiting deportation. And this is my thing with that. Now, I already have a problem with deporting people who really don't deserve to be deported, because now he is a felon, and he served his jail time, whatever. So, okay, I get it. He's not an American citizen, even though he's been here since he was 1 year old. Joe's argument was that he doesn't know anything about Italy. He's never lived there except for up until he was 1 year old. So he was born in Italy and moved here to the United States with his family when he was only 1 year old. I don't think that for him it should apply, even though, yes, technically he isn't a citizen. I don't understand why he never got his citizenship, being here 40 some years, his whole life pretty much. I don't know, maybe it has something to do with him trying to do the dirty things that he was doing, and he felt that if he wasn't a citizen, he wouldn't get caught or something like that. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. And that may not have been it anyway, but just think about it. Now he's going to be away from his wife, which she probably doesn't really mind, but his 4 daughters. He has 4 daughters who need their father. I think that should have been taken into consideration. His wife and his daughters are all U.S. citizens. So I don't know. I don't know about this one. It's tricky just because of the fact that he's a felon. He's not a U.S. citizen, but he has been here his whole life, and he has a family here. I don't see Teresa and the girls moving to Italy. I don't know. I know the oldest daughter, she should probably be, Gia should be like 18, 19 now, maybe. I don't know. I haven't watched the show in a couple years, but I really don't know about this one. I don't want him to get deported just because of his family. So I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. If he's going to continue to try to fight it, I don't know how it works with him being a felon, if he's going to be able to apply for citizenship now. And then again, on the other hand, should he be given special treatment than other undocumented people in this country who aren't even felons and who haven't been to jail and who haven't gotten in trouble are being deported? So what makes him the exception? I don't want to see anyone get deported who doesn't deserve it. And I don't think, just because of what he's done, I don't think that he deserves to be deported, mainly for his family. That's really about it. I mean, he lost his father unexpectedly. This was a few years back. And then, of course, a couple years ago, Teresa lost her mother unexpectedly. How this is going to play out, but I'm going to be definitely keeping an eye on this. I actually do like Teresa and Joe. I like a lot of the cast of Real Housewives of New Jersey. Definitely next to Atlanta, it was my favorite one. I'm just not really into reality shows and stuff like that anymore, especially those kind of shows, because they're just repetitive every year. It's the same old bullshit every year. But I still follow what the cast is doing and changes and what's going on in their life and stuff like that, because these are people who I've watched for quite a few times when they were basically nobodies to being these reality star people, stars for all these years. So we'll see how this plays out. But my personal opinion on this is that he shouldn't be deported. Law-wise, I mean, you got to follow the laws of the land, I guess, but we'll see. And one more thing, I always wondered, like, once he got out of jail, if Teresa was going to divorce him, what was going to happen, if they were going to separate or whatever. I just had this feeling that was going to happen. So I wonder now, with him being deported back to Italy, I wonder if she's going to divorce him now. I mean, I don't know. So I'm curious about that. As I mentioned before, I don't like seeing marriages fall apart, but things happen. So we'll see. So it appears that Kim and Kanye are still trying to use their evils and their power of their evils for world domination. I don't know what's going on with those two, but not only does Kim want to become an attorney, which we'll still see how that plays out after her apprenticeship is over, if she is able to pass the bar or whatever. I don't know. We'll see. Now, I know some people can go in and take tests, not having hardly studied anything in the field and still pass it. I get it. I've done it. That's basically what my whole college career was. I ain't hardly read shit, but I still passed and I still graduated. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I got lazy at some point and overwhelmed. But anyway, how are you going to pass the bar exam when you haven't taken a class? And I say this because the bar exam isn't necessary, from what I understand from people I know who have taken the bar, and I've actually looked up on myself taking the LSATs and the bar exam, if of course I would have got into law school and taken the LSATs and stuff like that. And there are people who go through all these years of undergrad and law school and apprenticeships and working in the field and everything like that, then they finally turn around and take the bar and they don't pass. I don't know, maybe the California bar is a little easier because it does seem like a lot of attorneys do go to LA and practice law. I don't know, but that'll be interesting. But anyway, let's get back to these two and what they have planned for their future. So it appears that they both are eventually looking to seek the White House. And I mean, Kim, first of all, we shouldn't be surprised because Kanye has said that he would possibly run for president one day, and he's reaching for a 2024 bid. I mean, okay. I'm not really surprised at that. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to be. They're wanting the White House now, and this is scary, but it can't be any worse than what's already up in there right now. But anyway, so as I mentioned, Kim is currently working on her apprenticeship at a San Francisco law firm so that she can qualify to take the bar and start practicing law herself. So I ain't mad at Kim. As I mentioned last week, girlfriend has a plan and she is doing her thing. Kanye is set on being Kanye, and that means just whatever thing that he comes up with next in his head, that's what he is going to talk about doing, and we'll just see about that. But so it's Kim's plan to start practicing law and then possibly run for Congress one day and then the White House. I mean, I don't know. I can see her from what she did with this jail reform stuff and how she really is fighting for it. We had to give Kim Kardashian her props because someone of her stature in today's world, to use her stardom, to use her public persona and all that other stuff, to use that to get this stuff done, you can't do nothing but commend her and congratulate her for that. I'm not saying that what Kim wants to do, that it can't be done, because it can be done, and not only when you have a dream, but a big coin as well, anything can be done. So I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you, Kanye. Y'all do your thing out there. The world is going crazy, so nothing surprises me anymore. But also in the West Kardashian household land, Kanye wants to start his own cult. I mean, his own church, not a cult, church, sorry. So there you go. And no shade to Kanye or anyone who may be following him, but Kanye totally fits the description of a cult leader, and just that to a straight T. So what else would he do? If you look at his church services online, the videos that people post, I mean, he has them wearing his tacky Walking Dead reject clothing line there, and just has everybody just dancing and just doing whatever. They're in the middle of nowhere looking like a Jim Jones, whoever type scenario that could be going on, popping or whatever. But whatever, live your dreams. In news about people who need to just die already, so George Zimmerman and that trash bag of a person is banned from Tinder. I mean, you have to really be a piece of shit if you're banned from a website, a dating app, whatever you want to call it, like Tinder. Because I mean, Tinder's like one of the bottom of the barrels. So that says a lot about him. But anyway, apparently he started a fake profile and he was caught. I don't know if he was using his own picture or somehow he was caught. He was using a different name, occupation, just everything. Everything about the profile was fake except for maybe his picture, because somehow they found out who it was and they banned his ass. And Tinder CEO or whoever, spokesperson, put out a statement pretty much saying that he's trash and he will not be on our trash app. So, girl, I mean, if you can't keep a profile on Tinder, there is no hope for you. So more is being exposed about your precious little Oprah and her just being pretty much a pawn for Harvey Weinstein and David Geffen, and why she put her name and participated in this fake ass documentary that has been pulled from HBO, but also most people that are associated with it have removed any history of it. There have been so many people who aren't journalists, who are just normal people like us, going through and dissecting. They've had professional people come in, like body language experts, just all these crazy things to try and dispel and prove that Leaving Neverland documentary and Wade Robson and James Safechuck are just full of shit, pretty much. It's genius how they're doing it and everything, but let me say this before I go any further about Miss Oprah. All these white folks who are trying to clear Michael's name, trying so hard to clear Michael's name for this, anyone who's a fan, anyone who's a human, anyone who wants the truth appreciates that, you know, and especially real sex abuse victims appreciate that, because this is dimming a light to sexual abuse victims, the real ones, because when more things like this come out, it makes the case harder for future people who come forward and say something, regardless of how many years ago it happened to them, or if it's something that happened in the present. This makes it harder for people to come out and say stuff when you have something that has made it this big be full of lies and bullshit. But for everyone who's trying so hard to clear Michael's name, do you realize that this stuff happens to people of color every day? And we know you're not doing this because it's someone of color. You're doing it because it's Michael Jackson, and it's understandable because we all want the truth. The man is dead. His name has been dragged long enough. Can we speak out against injustices that happen to people of color every day? Not just when it comes to someone who you admire and appreciate, but speak out against other injustices that happen to people of color, because it happens all the time. And yes, it happens to white people too, don't get me wrong, but y'all are fighting so hard for this black man. Why not fight hard for other people of color? I'm just saying, because you can call yourself an advocate, you can call yourself anything you want to for equal justice and all this other stuff, but when you don't speak out and say anything, it just makes it that much harder for black people, anyone of color, to get a fair trial, a fair anything when they are innocent. So don't just fight for one, fight for us all, because we truly need it. But Oprah, just know that there is a huge connection. Of course, we know that Harvey Weinstein and Oprah Winfrey are good girlfriends. This documentary that was on HBO, that aired on HBO, where Oprah did the after show or whatever with all the sexual abuse victims on HBO and on her network, of course, where she basically had a platform to bash Michael even more. It wasn't to bring attention to these sexual abuse survivors. It was to bash Michael. That's just pure and simple of what it was. Let's call it what it is. That's what it was. This aired the same week that Harvey Weinstein's trial was originally supposed to start. It ended up getting postponed, but everything was already set in stone for all of this to come out around that time. So there's that. Harvey Weinstein has a huge and long-standing relationship with HBO. So let that sink in real quick. David Geffen and Harvey Weinstein each have had issues in the past with Michael Jackson, business-wise. So, of course, they're going to not only lead the crusade to help take him down, but also to take away the attention from Harvey Weinstein. That's what all this was really about as well. And for Wade Robson and James Safechuck to say they weren't in this for the money, they're still filing lawsuits. They're still trying to get book deals and all this other stuff. And you're not going to tell me that they didn't make any money from this documentary. You're not going to tell me that. I know they did. There's no way that you're going to put yourself out there like this with a bunch of lies that have been proven to be lies. And they're obviously not that bright. And the guy who did this, who started all this, who did the documentary, I should say, it just shows just how blinded people can be when it comes to trying to take someone down. They don't think about the repercussions or people going into looking at stuff or anything like that. It's just crazy. And this is bigger than Michael Jackson. This is just with anything. But through all of this, there are so many connections that just come back to Oprah, with Oprah being fall guy. I'm sure Oprah made a pretty coin from Harvey Weinstein and David Geffen and HBO to do everything, all the promoting and do that special and talk about it even before it came out, because on her birthday yacht party, on David Geffen's yacht, mind you, she started talking about it then, her and her girlfriend Gail. It's just the craziest thing, but still, Oprah hasn't posted anything else about the documentary. She hasn't reposted and put back on the things that were taken down on her YouTube page on her Twitter, any of her social media that was in reference to this, because she knows she effed up, but she's not going to admit it. She's not going to apologize. She's not going to do any of that stuff because she's Oprah. She doesn't make any mistakes. She was doing this to help assist her white kings. That's what she was doing pretty much. So, and I'm sure she got a pretty coin, but there is so much coming out about this connection that Oprah has to Weinstein and David Geffen at HBO, and it's really sad. And and another thing that I've realized over the years, every time someone gets accused of sexual abuse, do you notice that somehow it always ends up going back to Michael Jackson? It doesn't matter who it is. When one of these white powerful men get accused of some type of sexual abuse, which it happens all the time, then it always ends up coming back to Michael Jackson, and this is no coincidence or anything like that. It happens all the time, and it's really getting old. Stop trying to put your faults back on someone who... Now, let me say this. Michael Jackson was found innocent. No one wants to talk about all the crazy things that happened behind the scenes during that 2005 trial. Was it 2005? Yeah, 2005 trial. The FBI thoroughly investigated Michael Jackson for over 10 years, and they weren't able to find anything on him. And the only reason why he was brought to trial was because of an obsession from an attorney who was so obsessed with taking him down. From the first case where he settled back in 93 to this that happened in 2003, between 2003 2005 to now with the Leaving Neverland thing, there has never been any evidence anywhere where they monitored Michael Jackson, they trailed him, they tapped his phone calls, they thoroughly searched his house, they set him up over and over again, and yet they never were able to prove or find anything to show that he had sexually abused any children. But Michael's just one of those people who will never rest in peace. He couldn't have peace here on when he was living, and he's definitely not going to have peace while he's dead, as long as these powerful white men who have just had it in for him for years, even in death, are going to find a way to still screw him even 10 years after his death. It's really pitiful. And Oprah, you should really be ashamed of yourself doing the dirty work for your little white boyfriends. It's really sad. But y'all keep going up for Oprah. Y'all keep saying that's your auntie and everything like that. But Oprah ain't worried about nothing but a coin. That's all she's worried about. And making white people happy. That's it. Now, as much as I love technology, I'm a tech nerd. I'm a science nerd. I love all that stuff. I love reading and watching and seeing things being developed. It's scary sometimes because it's just like, damn, this can take over that. And it's scary, but at the same time, it's cool. You know what I mean? But as much as I love it, one thing I'm good on are these home assistants, smart speakers, whatever you want to call them. Now that shit is scary. I mean, and especially Alexa, if you have an Amazon Echo or whatever the hell it's called that, or any of these home assistants that use Alexa, I would suggest you don't do anything in your home. Amazon is saying that their employees who work with Alexa and work on, that part of Amazon or whatever the heck you want to call it, but they can listen to what's going on in your home. And I don't know if you remember, but a year or so ago, people were reporting that Alexa was just coming out and just saying stuff and making all these weird noises and saying all these crazy things and, just out of the blue. And of course they said, oh, it's just a glitch. No, it's not. I don't care if you have the Echo. I don't care if you had the Echo Dot. I don't care if you have the Google Home Assistant, the HomePod with Apple, any of these things. I don't trust them. Now, I did buy an Apple HomePod. I just didn't feel comfortable with just something just sitting. And I had it in my bedroom. I had it in there and I was just using it as a smart speaker, just like when I woke up in the morning to tell me what the temperature was, or when I wanted to play music while I was getting dressed or in my room cleaning it up or whatever. I could just speak it, just say, do this, do that. I'm not going to say SIRI because I have my phone sitting right here and she'll just start talking. But anyway, it's cool. It's convenient and it's actually kind of fun, but it made me nervous. So I ended up selling it, and somebody bought it for more than I paid for it. So I was like, okay, cool. But anyway, I just don't trust those things. I mean, it's just, I don't know. But if you have one and you haven't had any issues, or you just don't care that Amazon employees can listen to what's going on, and don't think that just happens at Amazon. I'm pretty sure it's happening with Apple. I'm pretty sure it's happening with Google and any other ones that may be out there. But those are the 3 more popular ones. I can't do it. But if you have it and you like it, more power to you. I hope it works out for you. But just don't be doing anything crazy in your house. Don't be doing anything sneaky, because Big Brother is always watching. I'm just saying. And I know the same thing can be said about smartwatches and smartphones, period. But it's just something about that home assistant that is just always on. And knowing that they can listen to what you're saying and doing and whatever, now that's really spooky. But I don't know. I don't believe it's a glitch. I think that they just really intended for that to happen. I truly do. And you can call it the skeptic in me or anything like that. That's just what I believe. But if you have a smart speaker system in your home and it's working out for you, that's just wonderful. Great, but I don't trust it. I'd like to thank you all, as always, for tuning in to this week's podcast, episode 18. We're just moving right along. And don't forget that you can check me out on all the following formats, DannieBSpeaks.com. Also, check out DannieBSpeaks.com for the latest posts, blogs, what's going on, and for the podcast. You can check me out on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Play Music. If you have any comments, questions, any suggestions, if you'd like to communicate with me, you can hit me up on my email. If you have anyone that you like me to endorse, anything that you like me to endorse, promote, please hit me up, DannieBSpeaks@gmail.com. And as always, have a safe and productive week, and I'll check y'all out next podcast. So peace and blessings, and have a great one. Peace.